is not necessarily dangerous. Say a photo. If you find yourself taken aback by a photo that your mind has, gone through all of the protocol, you want to make sure that no one is actually being harmed. It's not offensive. What is it about the image that's bothering you? Take an inventory of what's going on in your head. And then educate yourself if you can. And in this situation, the education was being offered to the community. And so to back up, when I discovered this band back in February in Montreal, and I watched them perform traditional haka on stage with the Maori chants and the electronica looping that was part of the performance. It was unbelievably moving. And to watch the deeply rooted tradition in what they were doing, I knew that it was 100% real and not diluted. And I needed to bring that to the people that I am serving in my community, because that's my job. I can do that. My job is to bring other cultures, other types of music, other genres, a diverse lineup of concerts. That's my job. I mean, that's a dream come true. And I take that job seriously, mostly because it lines up with my own philosophies of life. And when I saw them in Montreal, I kept moving myself forward, closer and closer to the stage, and I took video, and I was so close to the stage that the audio that's in the video is just completely distorted. But I have so much video of these women doing haka and using the traditional tools of haka or the weaponry, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Life-changing for me. And when something is life-changing for me, I take it. I don't take it. What I do is I embrace it and I share it. That's what I mean by take it. I pick it up and I offer it to others. Please, check this out. You have to see this. But I knew, again, with my job, I could ask if they would come and be with us in our community. And in the end, that's what happened. And I often, this is a story for another podcast. What I set down in my mind to do, I end up getting done. Ask anyone. So, where was I? So I went through all the steps, and this was the show I was so looking forward to. And I had talked to them about performing at Dog Mountain, but also doing this haka workshop, because I knew that it would be so important and empowering to our community. I also knew that this would open up the hearts and minds and educate all of us that live in this global culture. We are global. We are connected to everyone, but that doesn't mean we understand others' cultures. That doesn't mean we understand where we come from and the indigenous peoples. That doesn't mean that at all. So I guess it's about balancing our global reach with a more intimate understanding of the people we share this earth with. And so, and I personally don't know much about Maori culture or haka myself, but I do know that I needed to know. And, maybe that's my philosophy background. I'd like to believe so. It makes me feel that I spent my money on something good. But I think I might have come to that conclusion regardless. So I knew that I was right. And so I went full tilt, like usual. And I nearly burned up upon entering the atmosphere of Saturday and Sunday when the resistance was so intense. Not of the people. They didn't know yet. But just life. So the band got held up at the airport on Sunday morning, and they couldn't make it to the concert on Sunday. And so if you can imagine how much of my blood, sweat, tear, all those cliches, I guess all of my emotional investment into them coming and being with our community, and me reaching out to folks and telling them about it, like, this is happening. To have it just stop, to have it be all, like, nearly almost impossible. I was crushed, absolutely crushed for a few moments. And I was working with the lead of the band, and we were both, in our own rights, crushed by life's pressures in the moment. And I think the both of us, being very similar, could feel that pressure and were acting with all the grace and patience we had in our bodies. And I sensed that from her, and I can't speak for her, but I'm guessing she sensed the same. And so both of us, at the same time, nearly let go and let the energy flow the way it was going to. And I'm not talking like, I'm being very, very realist here. Sounds like when you let energy flow and all this stuff, it's, you're starting to lose people. But truly, honestly, like, if you stop backing up energy, it'll go where it needed to go. I mean, that's just physics. Lightning is the balancing of energy. So, and I think my religion of life is very much based in physics. Honestly, I feel like the two can be blended very easily. And for a while, nobody believed me, but listen to On Being podcast, and there you go. But whatever. So we both lifted up our hands and let things play out. I had to go in another direction. She had to take care of what was going on her end. And we both got shit done. And I'm going to spare you the brutal details of getting shit done, because it was painful and it took a lot of energy. But it got done. And in the end, we met each other at the venue on Monday. And when I entered that room and we got to see each other, finally, it was pure magic. Absolute pure magic. In a church that is open, accepting, loving. It was the perfect spot for what happened that night. And the people who showed up, they just kept showing up. And we didn't have just 50 people come to the workshop. We had about 70. And probably could have had more. And so, I guess the moral of the story, in the end, I guess I gotta circle back to that first message that's opens up this podcast. When you are resistant to the unknown, you will protect yourself from the unknown. And if you're happy there, if you are happy covering yourself up with a blanket or, pulling your head inside your shell for protection, that's fine. But it runs anti to growing and learning, loving, accepting, possibility, all that stuff. The kinetic energy just stops as soon as you shut that door and you throw yourself on your couch and you're like, I'm cool. All those other people are outside and I'm just going to watch reruns of Judge Judy and drink, Ovaltine. And there are plenty of people who do that. And, more power to them. If that keeps you alive and safe and keeps you functioning, that's fine. But I guess I do have a slight problem with it, in that when it prompts you to push back against an ancient culture, deeply rooted in indigenous people that you are not even aware of, that you couldn't even vocalize, in without referring to, another practice that's not even from the same country. It begins to push into the realm of harm. And that voicemail, words are words, sticks and stones, right? But that isn't the case. Words are more powerful than, and the haka is very much a testament to that. It's words, it's body movement, motion, stances, volume, facial expressions. It's everything under the sun before violence. And it is a beautiful act. It is a human act. It gets me thinking, I am really, really interested in human instinct, and my favorite book is called Sapiens, and it's a brief history of humankind, and I nerd out on that book all the time. And I'm always very interested in what is, traditional, not traditional, that's not the word I want. What is inherent to us? What is the human? Who are humans? We pull ourselves out of the wild world, and we do that at our own peril, actually. And I've written on this, and I've thought about this a lot. We call spaces that are untouched wilderness, and the definition of wilderness is untouched by humans. So where do we go? Where's our wild space? If wild spaces are places that we are not, then we no longer have a wild space. So who are we? Where do we belong? Right there, we've already taken ourselves out of the wild realm, and we've stripped ourselves of our own habitat. And so how can we help the species that are failing and that are losing their habitat when we don't even understand our own? We think that we don't need it. I don't. Yeah. This